So you are moving to the Charlotte area and you've heard of Mint Hill, but you're not quite sure what it has to offer. Well, you've come to the right video today. I am going to dive into everything Mint Hill, and we're going to take a little tour so I can show you what it really looks like, what the houses are like, and of course, we're going to dive into the top most important things that you need to know, such as schools, commute times, property values, cost of living, and more. So stay tuned in this video. Now, if you are looking for everything Charlotte, North Carolina, the ins, the outs, everything in between, you've come to the right channel as well. Go ahead and like and subscribe to stay up to date on everything Charlotte, even the things you didn't know you needed to know. Now, I literally get calls, texts, and emails every single day from people just like you looking to move to the Charlotte, North Carolina and South Carolina, yes, that's right, South Carolina too, areas. So if that's you, give me a call, a text, an email. All of my information is in the description below. I really do want to help you move to the area, whether you're moving in 9 days or 90 days from now, whether it's across the world, across the country, or just across town. I want to make your move exactly what you want it to be. I am in Mint Hill right now. I'm sitting at this adorable little coffee shop called Forest Trail. Now, as you can see, it's fenced in all around me, so it's a great place to bring the kiddos. If you want to grab a bite to eat, have a cup of coffee, maybe a bottle of wine or beer. It's really that all-inclusive. If you want to come hang out, it's like hanging out on your best friend's back porch or front porch. Great tunes, great food. I even got kombucha, which is not always available. And yes, you guys know I love my good beers and I love my coffee, but I'm 2 coffees in and it's not quite beer time yet. So kombucha, here we are. I'm going to dive in here in a minute. We're going to talk all about Mint Hill. Now, Mint Hill has been around for a very, very long time, since Charlotte actually started back in the 17th century. Now, with that being said, I don't know if you guys knew this, but Charlotte is actually named after Queen Charlotte of Mecklenburg, which is where we get Mecklenburg County. Now, what some people don't know is that Mint Hill is actually in Mecklenburg County. That's right. Charlotte is completely encompassed by Mecklenburg County, but there are 3 cities, actually technically 4, that are not Charlotte, that are actually in Mecklenburg, and that is Huntersville, Matthews, Mint Hill, and Pineville. Now, this all being said, Mint Hill is one of the larger towns that's inside of the Charlotte and Charlotte area, inside of the Beltline, and that's what makes it unique. Matthews and Mint Hill both are inside of the Charlotte 45 Beltline. That makes it for a really easy commute, and we're talking about commutes while we're on that. Anywhere you need to go from Mint Hill is going to be fast. In fact, you can get to downtown Charlotte in less than 25 minutes most days of the week. Now, of course, you've got your limitations too when it comes to Mint Hill, and that is a little bit of traffic. Yes, sometimes you will find some traffic on Lawyers Road, on Independence, but in most cases, because you're close to Independence Boulevard, you're close to 45, you're going to have shorter commutes, which I absolutely love. Now, before I go any further, because there was so much I need to dive into, I'm going to dive into this amazing sandwich, which is, I'm going to share this with you. It is a prosciutto and whipped goat cheese with arugula with a balsamic reduction. Yes, now that your mouth is watering, I'm going to dive in. By the way, you can get this here along with some fresh made pimento cheese sandwiches. And we're going to dive back into it in a second. Excuse me. Oh my gosh, that sandwich was so good. So anyhow, let's dive into some of the many reasons why Mint Hill would be a perfect place to live. First off, let's talk about crime. One of the coolest things about the crime being low is when we really look at it, that's combining violent crime and property crimes. We're sitting at 29 out of 100, meaning if we were looking at 100 being the highest and 1 being the lowest, it's at 29. The U.S. average sits at 33, and some of the larger cities within the U.S. are well off the charts. The nice thing about this is it's a smaller, quiet, more suburban area with a far lower crime rate than other areas of Charlotte. So if you're looking for a great spot to raise a family, for you to just have a nice, quiet backyard, Mint Hill may be the spot for you. So let's talk about the location of Mint Hill a little bit. Mint Hill is located to the southeast of Charlotte. So if you were to take a look at the circle of where 485 is, it is just to the southeast, which makes it a perfect spot for a sprawling suburb such as this. Now, one of the most interesting parts about Mint Hill, in my personal opinion, is the fact that its neighboring town of Matthews is kind of like its sister city. I say that meaning they flow fluidly into one another and offer many of the similarities of Matthews in Mint Hill. And that comes to house pricing, crime rates, the availability of shopping and healthcare. You name it, they're very similar. What they don't have are the city taxes of Charlotte. Even though they do have Mecklenburg County taxes, the taxes are just slightly different than that of the Charlotte city taxes. So you'll save at least a little bit. Now, talking a little bit more about the actual location, you're still about a 3.5-hour drive from the beach, about 2 hours from the mountains. And like I said, you're only about 25 minutes to downtown Charlotte. But what about the lakes? Well, you can make it to Lake 𝗖𝘁 in probably about 35 minutes, and you can make it to Lake Norman in about 35 to 40 minutes, depending upon where on the lake you are. So from a timing perspective, you can be on the water, living the lake life in summer like it is right now, in a very short period of time, and many people do. So you can take advantage of the beach accesses as well as rental boats if you don't own one, as well as the public parks and launches that are on both Lake 𝗖𝘁 and Lake Norman. But let's get back to Mint Hill. So let's talk a little bit about the cost of living. Mint Hill, while very affordable, your average income is going to be about $88,000 per household. Now, that being said, if we look at the cost of living, which includes groceries, gas, what it costs to actually live here from a home standpoint, healthcare, and more, it's actually about 2.5% higher than the average across the U.S. Now, as we know, Charlotte does have a slightly higher cost of living. So Mint Hill being basically right in the heart of Charlotte, it's not surprising that it's a little bit higher. Here's the thing though, even though it's only 2.5% higher, meaning if we're looking at 100 as the even keel of where the US is, it's at 1,025, it's really not that much more expensive than most other areas of the North Carolina and South Carolina region. So that being said, you do have a lot of the conveniences of Charlotte being right there, but you do have a slightly lower cost of living than being in the heart of Charlotte itself. So let's talk about the cost of houses. The average cost of homes here in the Mint Hill area is about $485,000. Now, yes, that is actually a little bit higher than most of the region, but with that being said, it is still affordable. When we're looking at that average value, most of the homes in the Mint Hill area are of a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, or 4-bedroom, 2.5-bath home. So that's going to put it right in the range. When we're looking at homes in Charlotte and we see the average, it could be combined with a 1-bedroom studio apartment all the way up to a mansion on Lake Norman. So that being said, these averages fall way more in line with what you can actually expect for a single family residence. Here's one of the many reasons why I think Mint Hill is a great place to call home. Let's talk about investing. And I don't mean buying an investment property. What I mean is, when you make your home purchase or live in this area, what can you expect? Well, guess what? Mint Hill has seen a 161, that's right, 161% increase in equity in home values over the last 10 years. That's right, in just 10 years, we've seen a 161% increase in home equity. That is bananas. Now, yes, we did see some crazy home growth over the 2020 and 2021 years, but even with those two growths, what that means is we're seeing consistent growth year over year of at least 6 to 8% or more, which is great. Now, another thing to keep in mind, the average age of homes in Mint Hill are 29 years old, meaning the area is actually going to start growing and producing, but many of the homes here had been built back in the 90s and early 2000s, which is crazy to say that was 24 years ago, by the way, or 29 years ago. In addition to that, there's more fun facts here. 20% of the population in Mint Hill are actually renters, which means there is actually a large portion of the homes in this area that are currently rentals. So there's still growth to be had, and in fact, there have been more permits taken out over the last 2 years for new construction than we've seen in decades. So the growth is definitely happening in this area. I'm hitting you with a ton of information today, so thanks for hanging in there. Let's talk about the job market. The unemployment rate in Mint Hill is at 3.5%, whereas the US average is actually at 6%. In addition to that, what's expected over the next 10 years is for that the job market is going to increase as much as 46% in Mint Hill, and what's projected for the rest of the US economy is 33%. So Mint Hill, much like many of the other areas around Charlotte, is outpacing the US economy in absolute bounds, which is incredible, especially if you're looking to call this home. Now, schools is one of the biggest questions that I get from most of my clients moving to the area. You want your kids to be in a good school system. Mint Hill is rated with an A for their school systems, and here's the cool thing. While you do have the option for standard public schooling, and I say standard, not standard, it's still an A rating, but in addition to that, you also have charter schools, private schools, Catholic schools, Montessori schools. In addition to that, there are a ton of after-school programs, whether they be athletics or also for educational. So you have a lot of options for your child in moving into this area. Now, on average, each student, the county, or should I say the city, spends about $8,900 per year per student, but we have a really great student-to-teacher ratio, meaning there are less students per teacher than the US average. So here in a second, we're gonna go take a tour of Mint Hill. But before we do, I wanna talk to you about a question I've been getting a lot, which is, what's going on with the politics? So let's talk about it. In the Mecklenburg County area, it does lean to be a bit more Democratic, where the outskirts of Mecklenburg County lean a bit more Republican. Now, that being said, although the winning votes seem to be to the Democratic pole, it's very much in line, meaning it's about a 60-40 split between Democratic and Republican. What this means is, in my personal opinion and experience being in Mecklenburg County, everyone's voices are being heard. And I think that's what most of us are out to have, is that everybody's voice is being heard, understood, and things are being applied to our local government that is truly in favor of everyone. So I truly enjoy that. I think it's really nice, and I'll let you draw your own conclusions. But while you're doing that, let's go take a look at some of the houses in the area of various price ranges and see where you might want to call home. Now, you know I'm always going to give you a mix of properties, and this one is right off of Lawyers Road. You can see I'm a little ways off, which means it's actually nice and quiet back here in this development. This development was all built in 2023, so it is a very new development. And this particular house behind me, guess the price on this one. So this is a 4-bedroom, 3.5 bathroom. That's right, 3.5 bathroom. You heard it, with a 2-car garage. It sits at about 2,000 square feet, has a very nice open floor plan on the middle level, which is where your kitchen and living room are going to be, and a fireplace. This property comes at you at $425,000. So if you're looking for a townhouse feel in the Mint Hill area, this is totally your jam. Now let's go check out another property, slightly higher in price and a little bit bigger. here in Brighton Park. Now, Brighton Park is one of the most popular developments here in the Mint Hill area. Part of the reason is a little bit of what you saw just a minute ago, which is the shopping and amenities. In addition to that, it's just gorgeous. You can hear the birds chirping actually behind me, right across here. It's just all trees, and it is littered in a good way with plenty of parks and places to go out and walk. Now this house, let's get it in view right behind me. This one is an absolute beauty. So just to give you an idea on pricing, this home is a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bathroom, built in 2006. Now, one thing you're going to note with the houses we're viewing today, they were all built in the 2000s. Yes, I know I told you the average home here in Mint Hill is about 29 years old, but all that being said, I also want to show you that there are newer homes available too. So built in 2006, this particular property is 2,200 feet. It is actually not too far from the shopping area. It's very walkable to there, and very easy to get to the main interstates, which is really helpful. I know I drive a whole heck of a lot. Now, this particular property is $525,000, just to give you an idea on the differences. Now, this also has a cute little backyard, but it sits on a slightly smaller lot. Now, Brighton Park does have a variety of, I'm going to call it lot sizes, and a variety of where they are. Some of them back up to trees, others up to other houses. This particular one does drop or back up to another street, but it does have a decent and private yard, which you will get in a development that was built in 2006. You get a little bit of this privacy, this maturity. Look at all the trees and tree cover. Little thunderstorm rolling in here in a second. So absolutely love Brighton Park, and you're going to find the average prices in here are going to range in the, I would say, low 500s and into almost the 6s for some of the larger homes in here. But absolutely beautiful development. I love it. If you are able to find a property that is under 5, let me know. But yeah, highly recommend it. Let's go jump into our third property of the day. So for our last home of the day, we are in Meadow, Vista, and I love this development for a few reasons. One, it's quaint, it's a little bit smaller, it's just outside of the downtown or hub of Mint Hill. One of the other things I love about this, they have much larger lots than many of the other subdivisions in the area. Now, you are going to pay for that, but let's go over the details of this house right behind me. This house is 5 bedrooms, 4.5 baths. It is 4,200 square feet and was just completed in 2024. Now, the price on this house is $774,000. Now, you might be saying, wow, that's a big jump, but the square footage is there, the bed and bath count is definitely there, and it sits on about 1/3 of an acre, which is also a really big deal. So this particular house right here, right on the corner, absolutely love it, and it's right outside the heart of Mint Hill. Now, while that particular house did have about 1/3 of an acre, most of the homes in here are going to sit at about 1.2. And did I mention they have a dog park? Let me show you. First off, look at that. All of that tree line is out behind this development. And then right there, you've got this awesome dog park that the entire community can use. And it's pretty spacious, actually. It's about 1 acre just for the dog park. And then you have this beautiful lineup of houses, all of which back up to the woods. So that concludes our tour of Mint Hill for today. But don't worry, I'm going to be bringing plenty more to you here soon. So you may be moving to the Charlotte area or to South Carolina. If that's you, be sure to reach out to me. I really do want to help you make the move. All my contact information is in the description below. Call, text, email, set up a Zoom meeting. I am here to help you, whether it's 9 days or 90 days from now, whether you're moving across the country, across the world, or just across town. Give me a call, give me a text, give me an email. Again, all that info is in the description below. I hope you enjoyed this. Drop some comments in the description as well, or just below the description. I want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on Mint Hill? And what do you think I should go discover next? I'll see you guys next time. So you're making the move. There's a lot of videos that you can be watching, like this one right here, or maybe even this one. really either one of these, but honestly, watch both of them because they're going to help you make the move. Go ahead, pick one. They're both really good.